Healthy peeps, healthy chat is Peepschat. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good evening to everyone. I'm your host for tonight, Haifa Farzana, and with me we have our special guest, Natasha Gideon.
Hello, thank
Hello. So, Natasha is actually a senior real estate negotiator, a very fancy name. I don't know what that is. So I'm going to ask.
Okay.
What is it?
So if you're familiar with people calling people like me agents, property agents,
Yes.
it's actually the wrong term that's used. So agents level are higher. You have to go through studies, you go through Viva, you go through a lot of challenges and exams baru you dapat jadi agent. So I'm just a real estate negotiator. My job scope is slightly smaller, so I do renting, selling, buying of properties for my clients. Yeah.
I see, I see. How long have you been working?
This working lama, but as a negotiator in the real estate industry 8 years already.
8 years already.
Yeah.
Wow. So from your experience, you have a lot of things going on. You have your personal life, your family, your me time, and your work. So of course you need to achieve this work-life balance, right?
Yep.
So I want to know, what is work-life balance?
I think it's a very subjective topic, but for me, work-life balance should mean having the same time, not having the same time, but having quality time to yourself, um, for you to do the things that you want to do. So whether it's your me time or you want to divide your time for your family, for your mental health, your breaks and things like that, work shouldn't overcrowd your me time or your time for yourself, basically. Yeah.
Can you tell me why it's so important?
I think personally, I have gone through years of burnout. I think it's a common issue. Unfortunately, I've had times where I had to sleep at the office because work was too much, and it's not like I was being paid a lot, but it's just a culture, right? And that affected my mental health a lot. It also affected my physical health, and so I think at one point I just realized I'm worth more than work, or I'm worth more than a pay slip. So I decided, okay lah, I don't wanna do this anymore. So that's why I got into real estate actually.
Wow, that's a really nice perspective.
Yeah.
Like knowing your self-worth. Okay. So, what are the personal factors that affect you work-life balance? As in, what made you suddenly think, okay, this is very important?
Um, like I mentioned earlier, at one point I wasn't taking care of my health. I was in, sometimes you go into auto mode, like you just autopilot, right?
Yeah.
And you just go to work, come back from work, and that's it. There's no like, oh, I need to exercise, or I need to read a book, or I need to take 5 minutes to myself. And that affected my mental health and my physical health. And those are things that cannot be replaced. So is your time, but I think health is much more important. So I just decided it's too much already. It's eating into my purpose as a human being.
Wow.
So it cannot be work. Yeah.
How long did it take for you to realize that, oh, this is
Too long.
too long?
Too
Oh.
long. Probably 5 years after I started working. Yeah.
I see, 5 years. Do you like does your family member actually mention it to you that, oh, you don't really have the time for other stuff now?
I think the problem is that I've always been like that from school, university. So I memang jarang balik. And so I think people assumed that I'm this perfectionist or I'm this workaholic. I'm actually not. It's just I think it's not even I don't know how to arrange my work. It's just workloads and KPIs are more than the job scope.
I see.
That was my issue lah. I don't know about other people, but yeah, being paid for a certain job scope, but the work that's actually given or needed to be completed was way more than what was promised, right? And so no one really mentioned anything, but I think once in a while, you do get the comments here and there lah.
I see. So let's talk about the present. So as a senior real estate negotiator, how do you balance your work and personal life effectively?
I think now it's much easier, especially in my industry. If you're familiar with how property agents or negotiators work, our schedule is flexible, but flexible in a way that you get to determine your working hours. I don't work less, but I can decide when I want to work and when I don't want to work. So let's say from January to Chinese New Year, I'll just be working. And I start work at 11 a.m., no jam. But I'll finish work probably late at night. And then that goes on for a few weeks. And then contoh kalau I nak ambil cuti raya, I'll take like 2 weeks off. So work hard and then rest hard also, that kind of thing lah. It doesn't mean that I work less. I might work more, but I'm content with the time that I set aside for myself and the time that I set aside for work lah, for clients.
So how do you how does this work-life balance affect the employee and the employers and especially the employees' performance? Yeah.
I think if you are able to prioritize your work, you are able to delegate well, you know how to reach your KPIs, there shouldn't be an issue as to not performing, right? Because I think there's a misconception that work-life balance means, 5 o'clock, 5 p.m, check out, okay, I'm done. No more working for me. And that's seen as negative because I think there's this mindset that people have to be in the office 8 to 5 in order to achieve something. But I come from maybe a different type of mindset or different type of thinking that as long as I get my work done, whether it's in 2 hours, whether it's in 8 hours, as long as I get or reach my KPI, I think that should be sufficient. So as long as you complete what you are supposed to complete, or as long as you deliver, it shouldn't be arbitrary how many hours you are in the office or how many hours you put in, right? So yeah, I think that's how I think, and that's how I treat my team members as well. And because I work in an industry that's very flexible, I don't have bosses who like hover over me. So I get to decide for myself, and I can show you these are my results, and that's sufficient for how I work lah.
So it's more like task-based, and you just finish your task for the day, and it's okay.
Yeah,
And that's it.
Yeah, as long as you can see the results, the input matches the output lah, basically. You know.
I would like to know more about what is your tactic in making your scheduling better, like during your break time, like during your personal me time. How do you make it like really fulfilled, that you're not wasting your time to rest?
Yeah. So I don't know. I think how I work is healthy. So I'm all out. Tuesdays to Sundays is when I work. And then when I really need to rest or I really need to take time off, I take sekali banyak. So for example, macam I cakap tadi, Raya is 2 weeks off, and then December to January 6 weeks off. But the rest of the year, I'm 100% for my clients. I do have time for myself, but when I rest, I 100% rest. Like all out rest.
What do you do usually?
I spend time with my family. Yeah.
Okay. Do you like watch Netflix or whatever?
I do. Of course, all that.
I see. So now we know what is work-life balance, and it's very important. And it's very important for us to think about it and manage our time wisely and utilize it very, very well. Utilize your time and know your limit. That's not a bad thing, you know.
Yep.
You know your limit. You know when to work and know when to start. So we are about to reach our commercial break, and don't go anywhere. We're gonna have our more
Yep.
about the work life balance
Yeah.
after this. So don't go anywhere, and I see you guys later. Healthy peeps, healthy chat. It's Peep Chat, and we are back. So just now, Natasha told us about work-life balance, what it is, what it does, and the importance of it, and how she balance her work life. You know. So we're gonna talk about technologies. So we know that technology is very prevalent in our life. We cannot live without it. And in your opinion, how do you utilize technology for productivity while avoiding the potential experiencing burnout?
I think technology works hand in hand with productivity, because if there is a shortcut that you can use to minimize your workload or to make your work more efficient, right? I think that that's something that should definitely be integrated in your daily life. Not just, I think not just work, I think life pun boleh juga. And that's what I do as well. I think there are examples of this happening during MCO, where we were heavily reliant on our apps and our Zooms and our Google Meets and things like that. Um, I personally try to utilize this as much as I can, reduce traveling. If I can put a meeting in an email, or if a meeting can just be online, or a meeting can just be, a short Google Meet, then why not? I can use that other time to um, do other things, because I think it's very important for us to recognize that there is an opportunity cost as well when you are focusing on things not so important and letting go of the things that you should be tackling that can give you higher returns, right? So if you can use, instead of using 10 minutes by for jotting down a meeting, I could have used 2 minutes of my time to jot that in an email and get everyone to read that, and I have extra 8 minutes to do something else and achieve something else. You'll see the productivity increasing more and more. So I think that is very important. I do utilize apps and the internet in general as much as I can. It's my best friend.
But it takes a lot of commitment and discipline.
It does.
To not get distracted.
It
I
does.
mean, Instagram, TikToks are everywhere.
Understandable.
Okay, so just now you talk about vacation, right? So, how would you help your team prepare for any upcoming projects that they have to do while you're away?
So I currently have different presentation decks or information decks that I prepare for my team. They are prepared actually as soon as they join the team lah. They know exactly what to do, what not to do. I also delegate my tasks. I used to have an issue of micromanaging, and I think that can be a big problem, especially when you're going up your career ladder, right? Takes a lot to let go of being the boss. You don't want to micromanage. Do this properly. I do it better. Let me just do it. Yeah. So I learned not to do that. So I delegate my tasks and give trust to those who I think are capable. So that has helped me a lot. It has also opened my eyes to the capabilities of my team members. And so that's basically what I do, and it has not failed me yet. So yeah, that's what I do.
So you have to learn how to put your trust at your teammates, right?
Correct. I give them instructions and trust that they will follow through. Yeah, and delegate.
Yeah, the micromanaging part is very hard to let go because we know what we want, we know how we envision, and it's a bit of the ego as well, right? Because you feel like you can do it better.
Betul.
But you never know, your teammates can make it, even much better, like even better, I guess.
Correct.
So, how would you ask for help if you had issues developing a healthy work-life balance? Because just now you said it's quite.
It is very difficult. I find speaking to people on social media very helpful. Reason being is when you ask your friends or you ask your family members, you are stuck in a bubble. You associate yourself with people who are like-minded. So you might not get ideas that are different than yours. So when I ask if I ask people on, let's say, Twitter or Instagram or TikTok, I get a lot of different ideas, and you don't necessarily have to follow them, but sometimes you do see like, oh wow, this is actually such a cool way of looking at things. So this is such good advice that this person is sharing. So that's actually how I've picked up the different habits in my life, and also TikTok and things like that lah. Yeah, very helpful.
Okay, so when I'm actually interested how you asking the TikTok and Instagram. How do you approach them?
You have the Insta Story application yang you boleh post questions.
I see.
You can post questions. When I posted about this particular topic on TikTok, I got a lot of comments from people who were going through the same thing, but maybe from different backgrounds. So I got comments from that as well. And then on Twitter, it's a very discussion-based platform. So you do get people who are willing to share. So when I was asking, like, how do you guys actually let go of work? Because even if you clock out at 5, so I'm going to clock out at 5, you come back home, you still have the urge and the anxiety of like, what if I don't pick up my phone, or what if I don't reply this email, And so just asking people in the Twitter sphere or on social media, I don't know, I'm not shy, so I just ask. It's for help. So
has anyone famous, like someone who's like the top dog, actually reach out to you?
I'm not sure. I don't know. I need to check back. I particularly for this topic, no, but adalah a few here and there. I won't say who, but adalah yang response.
How did that make you feel?
I was so excited. I shared with my family like, ooh, this person contacted me.
I see.
Yeah.
You know, like just now you talk about the work from home,
Mm.
right? So especially this lifestyle actually started during the pandemic.
Mm.
Yeah. And I'm not sure if you experienced work from home. Of course you did.
Yes.
And how do you balance your personal life, your
Mm-mm.
personal space, and your professional space? Because
So
it's under one roof.
understand. So I think what a lot of people went through during MCO, I think people finally understood how we work. People who are working flexible hours, like I don't have an office, so I memang work from home a lot. And so when MCO happened, I had to teach my husband how to okay, this is how we manage our time. This is what we're supposed to do. Like we can't do work on the sofa or in front of the TV. We have to have a designated place to do work. You've got to wake up every day, shower and dress up as if you're going to work. Then you have that motivation. It's like, okay, mindset, working time. And then when you're done, switch everything off, change, get into your pajamas, cozy, change mindset. It's okay, TV time, food time. So it for me it wasn't a shock because that's basically how I work, even until today. So tak ada culture shock ke apa lah.
But you know, since that you're teaching that to your husband, like, how was his performance? Was he like, jumbled through
No
his
lah,
way?
I think office work is as long as there's a computer there, it's okay. So we were all right. We were all right. Like even like during MCO, there's nothing else you can do, right? So it's just okay lah, we're done. Watch TV, go back to work. Yeah. So it wasn't that difficult. We eventually got into the groove of working and living and making sure that there's a clear delineation between that.
When you started when you start to have that kind of routine, did you what was it like when you try to get used to it? Like, since it's working from home, right? You never thought of making a designated space. What was it? Was it a distraction for you?
It was very trial and error in the beginning. So this is before MCO lah. This is when I moved from a 9 to 5 job to real estate. That's when it all started. So 2017, 2019, if I'm not mistaken. And so it was a big shock for me because you have to imagine working 9 to 5, you have a boss telling you, okay, you make sure you finish this, you make sure you do this. When you work by yourself, in my industry, there's no one to tell you. So if you tidur satu hari pun, tak siapa nak marah you. And then tahu-tahu you dah seminggu tak buat kerja. So that kind of situation, right? So getting used to building your discipline and really telling yourself to do work, that was the hardest part for me. But after that, realizing that there's work to be done, then baru okay sikit lah.
I see. So you do need discipline about this. Your technology, like using technology, is good for productivity,
Yes.
but you shouldn't get distracted.
Yeah.
And I see, that's how it goes. All right. So we are going to continue more about our topics. So don't go anywhere. Okay, maybe you need to go somewhere. Maybe you need a drink or whatever. But don't forget to come back, and we have a lot more to talk about work-life balance. So, see you soon. We are back. Healthy peeps. Healthy chat. It's peep chat. So now we're at almost at the end, but still have a lot more to talk about. So just now, Natasha talked about the work-life balance when you're at home, working from home. So I wanted to ask her, how are we as a student? You know, we are also in that situation. We're studying from home, or some of us are even part-time workers, and then they have to study and also have to, juggle their way with their personal life. So how to get motivated, to be in this kind of situation?
I see. I think it's normal to go through the ups and downs of life. Um, nothing, nothing worth doing is easy, and so studying, working, earning, it's not going to be a smooth sailing journey, right? Um, motivation. What I always tell my team members is motivation has to come from something that is bigger than yourself. So why are you doing this degree? For your parents, so that you make them proud, so that you can take care of them when they're older, so that you get financial freedom. People don't have to worry about you, family doesn't have to worry about you. So the motivation always has to be something that's bigger than, oh, I nak pass exam. It's a very small goal to achieve. But if you look at the bigger picture, okay, why am I working? Why am I, what is the purpose of my life? Oh, so deep. What is the purpose of my life? Is it just to get a pay slip, or is it more than that, So there are days where you feel demotivated. There'll be days that you feel down. Surround yourself with people who are higher energy. If you pun sama-sama dengan orang yang low energy, then it will be a constant demotivating period, right? And I understand that it's difficult, that you're staring at a screen, there's no contact with other people. Find what's lacking and try to fill those gaps. It's a very difficult process. I'm not saying it's easy. Even finding a work-life balance point, it's not something that you can learn overnight. But I always go back to find your value, find your worth, and what's the motivation that's bigger than yourself.
Okay. So just now we talk about the employees' work performance and whatnot. So I want to ask, in your opinion, what can company do to improve their employers' work-life balance?
I think there needs to be a shift in the mindset that we have. Like I mentioned earlier, just because someone doesn't come in at 9 and clock out at 7 p.m., 8 p.m. doesn't mean that they are not a contributing member of your company. You have to look at the KPIs that one achieves. You have to look at the output that one gives, regardless of the time that they are physically in the office, or that you physically can see them, right? If I can come in at, let's say, if I can finish my work in one day, but I don't come in early, but you come in 9 to 5, tapi kerja you tak siap, it defeats the purpose of you actually having the job, right? So I think employers need to understand that this clock in, clock out, or this negative connotation attached to people who want to leave on time needs to be put in the past. I think it's a very Asian. I don't know if it's an Asian thing or just a Malaysian thing, but when you clock out not early, when you clock out on time, it's like awak ni balik. It's very like negative. That needs to change lah.
I think that's also going on in Japan as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have that overwork case
culture
going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's that overwork culture, and it's so scary that some actually died.
It is. So before there are any casualties, I hope employers do change that type of culture lah. Kalau it shouldn't be you shouldn't be slaving towards your job 100%. You also have other commitments to your family. You have to keep yourself sane as well. I think baby steps, mindset dulu, tukar culture dulu.
Yeah, maybe the company should think outside the box, and probably think outside the box, and probably think what's it like being in their employees' shoes.
Yeah. But I think the problem with that is there are people who are like, oh, when I was younger, I had to do all this, so you have to go through this too. But you have all this technology, you have the means of making life simpler, increasing productivity while reducing the time put towards these things. So definitely need to evolve in that sector.
I mean, things change.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
Probably in the next 10 years, things are not going to be the same
Betul.
as well. Maybe a different kind of work culture.
Betul.
And do you have any suggestions on keeping a healthy work-life balance? Like, not just for potential workers, but also for students as well.
Of course, you have to bring your 100% to work, but being indispensable also does not mean that you owe your life to your company. As long as you are able to fulfill your KPI without being rude, without being unethical, that should suffice. I don't know if I'm going to get backlash for this, but I don't give 200% when I'm only supposed to give maybe 100%. You know what I mean? Like, because you are indispensable. If today you cannot come to work or you die, you are replaced tomorrow by someone else. Your
That's true.
as much as you can, your skills and all that are indispensable, we are still very much dispensable. So I'm not saying don't work hard. Work hard. Work smart, work hard, but don't give away too much that there's only 10% left for you and your family. I don't think that's not a life worth living for me. But to get there, of course, is very rocky road. So that's how I look at it nowadays. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's very important to look at it that way. And about what you said just now about dispensable, that is very true. Because even us, when we're working part-timers, we resign, there will always be someone else to replace us.
Betul.
Yeah. And the most important thing is we have to do our best.
Betul.
Yes.
Yeah. Just as long as you are doing what you're supposed to do, you reach your KPI, you do it well, do it with integrity, right? All that doesn't mean that you have to go above and beyond. You are already doing the best that you can. So this idea that work-life balance means that you're not going to do your work well doesn't sit well with me lah. Basically, I think that's what needs to be discussed. The negative connotation behind work-life balance doesn't mean that I just want to work this amount of hours. If the boss says I need you to stay back, or I won't stay back. It's not like that.
It's not
It's
like
as
being
and when.
fussy or like
Yeah,
that.
it's as and when. Jangan sampai, there are a lot of cases where parents work for of course for their families, and eventually their kids don't spend enough time with their parents sampai tak kenal mak bapak, that kind of thing. So you don't want that to happen.
Yeah,
That's what we're trying to I guess that's what's good about the younger generation. You understand the value of having this. That's why we're talking about it. And I'm very proud that you are talking about it actually. It's not something that was discussed as a boomer, as a millennial pun tak berapa. Like sekarang baru nak talk about it, right? So I think it's very good that you're talking about it. You know your worth. Yeah.
So, do you have any suggestions on how we, you know, when we want to balance our work life and the moment that things get overwhelmed and whatnot, how do we manage it? What can we do to reduce the stress and especially maintain a healthy boundary? And I'm sure that this thing is not something it's not a one person thing.
Understand.
I'm sure that you need to explain that to your employers that you need these boundaries. How do you do that?
I think that's the funny thing, that it shouldn't be explained to your employers. They should understand what the boundaries are. Don't text me on Saturday or Sunday. Don't text me at 9 p.m. and expect me to reply straight away. There are, in fact, in other countries, I think like in France, you're not allowed to text your employees after 6 p.m., right? Because they do understand the importance of all this. So, two things. One is you setting your own boundaries, making sure that you understand what kind of boundaries you want to set. So after, let's say after 7 p.m., I'm not going to respond to any emails or any messages. I'll respond to this tomorrow at 8 a.m. And there's nothing wrong with that. You're doing what's within what's required of you. Knowing your boundaries, setting your own boundaries. Of course, that's quite difficult in the beginning, but you'll get there. And knowing your worth, macam I cakap tadi lah.
But yeah, like when you want to set your boundaries, people should also respect that.
Understand?
Yeah.
That's true. That's very true. And if they don't respect your boundaries, then maybe it's time to move to another company which understands your boundaries.
Okay, that is very nice. Okay. So now we are already at the end of our show. Thank you so much to Sister Natasha. Do you have anything else to say before we end?
I just want to thank you all for having me here. Like I said, I'm very proud that you guys are actually talking about things like this. Know your worth, set boundaries for yourself, not just for work, even in your daily life. And I hope to see you all maybe in another topic or discussion.
Sure, we would love to have you. So that's all about work-life balance. You have to know your boundaries. You have to know your worth. You have to be disciplined. I get it. We have TikTok, Instagram, notifications. You really want to try that Wes Anderson trend. But you have to think about your assignment first. So anyway, thank you so much for tuning in with us. This is the end of our show. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And also, don't forget to follow IIUMTV on our Instagram, our Twitter, our Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok. I'm Haifa Fazana, and it's such a pleasure to be with you all. So, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good evening. Good night.